The assassination of President McKinley marked the first presidential murder caught on film, KALIN, though those historic images were tragically lost to time. But what's even more fascinating is how his death perfectly symbolized America's transition from the Victorian age to the modern era.
That's such an interesting way to put it, Pappy. This moment where old and new America literally collided. Here was this traditional president meeting the public at a modern technology exposition.
You know what's really striking about McKinley's presidency? He inherited this economy in absolute shambles after the panic of 1893. We're talking about 15,000 businesses failing, 500 banks collapsing, and unemployment hitting 18%.
And yet somehow he managed to turn it all around. His policies about the gold standard and protective tariffs actually worked, didn't they?
They really did. By 1900, industrial production had increased by more than 40% under his leadership. But here's what's fascinating. Right in the middle of this economic transformation, he gets pulled into this completely unexpected war with Spain.
The Spanish American War really changed everything. Just 4 months of fighting, and suddenly America had this empire spanning two oceans.
Exactly, and get this, before the war, the U.S. military ranked 17th in the world. After defeating Spain, America emerged as one of the top 5 global powers. It was this incredible transformation that happened almost overnight.
That must have been such a shock to the American system, going from this largely isolated country to suddenly having to govern places like the Philippines and Puerto Rico.
And you know what's interesting about that? McKinley was actually reluctant to take the Philippines at first. He famously admitted he couldn't even find them on a map when the war started. But by the end, he saw it as America's duty to, in his words, educate, uplift, and civilize these new territories.
That kind of thinking really shows how different those times were from today. How did the American public react to all this expansion?
Well, here's a surprising fact. McKinley won re election in 1900 with the most significant popular vote margin since Ulysses S. Grant. His message of prosperity at home, prestige abroad, really resonated with people.
That makes his assassination even more tragic, struck down right at the height of his popularity and success.
The details of that day are fascinating and heartbreaking. He was at the Pan American Exposition, a huge fair celebrating new technology. They actually had an x ray machine there that might have saved his life, but doctors were afraid to use it because the technology was so new.
So, in a way, he was caught between two eras. Even in his death, modern medicine was so close but not quite advanced enough to save him.
Exactly. And here's another interesting detail. His assassin bought the gun he used for $4.50 and practiced shooting at the exposition's moving target range. Security was so different back then. Can you imagine something like that happening today?
It really shows how much the presidency itself has changed. McKinley was known for these public meet and greets, just standing there shaking hands with anyone who wanted to meet him.
And speaking of changes, his presidency saw some incredible technological advances. By 1900, there were about 8,000 registered automobiles in America. Just 10 years earlier, there had been practically none. Electric power was spreading, telephones were becoming common. It was this massive transformation.
That really puts his leadership style in perspective. He was this very traditional figure guiding America through this period of incredible change.
You know what's particularly interesting? Despite all these changes, McKinley still ran what they called a front porch campaign, literally giving speeches from his house in Ohio. But he used modern telegraph technology to spread his message nationwide.
That seems to sum up his whole presidency, using traditional methods to build a modern nation.
And when you look at his legacy, it's pretty remarkable. He took a country that was economically devastated and internationally weak and transformed it into a global industrial powerhouse. Though, ironically, he's often overshadowed by his more colorful successor, Theodore Roosevelt.
That's the thing about transformative leaders. Sometimes the quiet ones make the most significant changes.
Looking back, Pappy, McKinley's presidency really marked the end of one American era and the beginning of another. The country that emerged from his presidency was fundamentally different from the one he inherited, more powerful, more prosperous, and more engaged with the world.
And maybe, KALIN, that's his most important legacy, showing how to navigate massive change while maintaining stability. Something we could probably learn from today.